How you going, RPG fans? Tonight I'm just going to be talking about various things that has happened in the month of January. So much has happened. Usually I expect this amount of information to flood the internet during E3 or Tokyo Game Show, but it's been quite busy and there's been some really big announcements, mainly the NGP. I will get to that in a minute, but first I want to talk about the Square first production premiere. I might have worded that wrong, so forgive me if I have. Anyways, my thoughts on the whole deal was it was very unfortunate that they didn't uh, stream the event like Nintendo did with the 3DS. I really thought it would do them more credit if they streamed it live, but instead I pretty much had to resort to um, looking at Twitter from various websites and the various media personnel that was inside the conference, and they were twittering things as they were unfolding. So it was really cool to find out all the information, all the updates, all the announcements. Pretty much in a nutshell, they talked about 5 games. The first one being Dissidia Duodecim. Again, they just showed another trailer. It still looks like a really cool game. Really great trailer. They pretty much confirmed Yuna. Forgive me, I forgot the character from 11. She was announced. And they hinted Gilgamesh as a character at the end of the trailer. So I don't know if it's going to be or not, but that's what everyone's thinking. Ooh, pardon me. Anyway, after that they had Kingdom Hearts 3D, and to be perfectly honest, at this stage it doesn't interest me. What's really funny is this is the top number 1 game that everyone's talking about on GameFAQs.com, and that's very astounding because, to be perfectly honest, I absolutely love Birth by Sleep, but afterwards I played 358 over 2 days, and that really burned me out bad. It's not that I hated it outright; it just went on and on and on and dragged on for so much. And after that, there was Kingdom Hearts Recoded, and that just did not interest me. And then they're bringing out Kingdom Hearts 3, and they're rehashing old elements yet again. And I just wish they would kind of stop doing that. But to pull um, players in to buy the game, they've hinted that there's going to be content in the game that leads to Kingdom Hearts 3. So I can foresee that being a hit already among the Kingdom Hearts fan base. But I'm going to wait till it drops down in price. Uh, and so I will certainly not just buy a 3DS for just that game. Next up, they actually announced Final Fantasy 13 2, and you all know my thoughts on Final Fantasy 13. Artistically, it's a beautiful game to look at and to listen to and to witness the story. It's just not a fun game to play, and I have to be brutally honest. I know there's a lot of people out there that do love it, how new it was, and it's really funny. A few people have made some really accurate analysis of that game, and I'm actually not one to lie and basically merge truth. The truth is, and I reckon this is brilliant, the more old school RPG fan you are, the more you're gonna hate it. And I've pretty much been playing RPGs for 20 years, and pretty much that the more old school RPG fans you are, the more likely you're gonna hate it. And I just did not enjoy playing that game. So I hope that Square Enix, now this is what they actually said, which was kind of reassuring, is they're taking feedback seriously on how to make the sequel better, and I hope they stick to that because I don't want to run 13 into the ground. I don't want to run 13-2 into the ground just because I didn't enjoy 13. I want to give 13-2 a fair go. So in order to do that, I'm actually going to step away and not read any articles about it. I'm not going to watch any more trailers. I'm just going to wait till it's released, and I'll give my 2 cents when I play it. You know, who knows, I might enjoy it a bit better. But 2 games I just can't take a step away from is Final Fantasy 13 Agito, otherwise renamed Type 0, and Final Fantasy 13 Versus. Now, when these games were first released years ago as part of the Fabula Nova Crystallis package, they both interest me more than Final Fantasy 13 itself, which is saying a lot. Type 0 looks phenomenal on the PSP. The graphics absolutely beautiful. The combat system looks very fun. Music-wise, there wasn't any tracks that made me remember anything. I might have to listen to the trailer again to remember the music. But the most biggest surprise is the game's going to be two UMD discs, which is very awesome. Apparently, the game was too big to fit on one, so they had to print it on another one, which is just awesome. I'm a big fan of multi uh, media formatted games. Just reminds me of the old Final Fantasy PS1 games. And last but not least, as I said, was 13 Versus, and that game looks absolutely stunning. It pretty much uses a battle system pretty much from Kingdom Hearts, but they've tweaked it just a bit and it looks way more fun and a little bit more challenging. The visuals and music is just absolutely breathtaking, and I love the characters and I just love the atmosphere. Out of all the games Square Enix is releasing, that is my number one game that I'm looking forward to, and I can't wait to finally get my hands on it and play it. So, next up, I want to talk a little bit about the NGP. I don't want to talk about too much. There's tons, if not thousands, of videos on YouTube of others giving their 2 cents. A lot of people went straight into bashing it when they found out about the touchscreen technology and, them quote unquote copying Nintendo. Well, it's not disappointed me too much. I'm under the impression that every game developer now, all the big companies are just copying Nintendo, so I'm not going to complain. If it works for the games that are released, then that's no problem. If you know, I really don't care about touchscreen technology. Like, if they're going to make a game that's like a standard RPG and they don't need to use the touchscreen, then I'm not going to care about it. I just hope they don't make a game where they, force touchscreen on you when it's not needed. That's my biggest worry. Um, but in terms of specs and what it can do, of course, everyone knows they're saying that it can run a PS3 game. I'm not fully buying that at now. That'd be very cool if that's the case. I want to wait until I see someone actually physically play the thing and give their analysis instead of just watching a video. It would be cool if you'd be able to play a full PS3 game on that little device, but I'm just remaining just a few steps back and just taking it in. Hopefully it does, because that'd be very, very cool. The one thing that really worried me was on the first day I heard that all the games would be downloadable from PSN or the new PS Suite. That really worried me. A lot of people like myself scrambled and said that the age of collecting is over for that, blah, 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 blah. There wasn't anything, they're not going to release anything tangible anymore, it's all going to be download. Then the day that followed, Sony released the information that they will be releasing some games on a memory stick or a memory card, and that was a huge sigh of relief. That means you can still collect them, which I'll certainly be doing. But one thing I really want to know is the NGP going to be region locked like the 3DS? Because I really hope not. I can understand why they're region locking their devices because they want to combat piracy, but I just hope that Sony goes down a different path, because I was absolutely overjoyed when the PS3 was multi-format. I mean, you couldn't play NTSC PS1 or PS2 games, but you can still play any PS3 game around the world, and I'm very happy with that. I hope they continue that with the NGP, because that's what I also love about the PSP. You can bring any UMD from any country and play it on your PSP. Unfortunately, the bad side of that is it's one of the most pirated gaming devices of all time. I think they've lost a lot of money to it, so I can understand if, they want to take that route. But personally, as an RPG fan living in Australia, it's not going to do me good if all the major companies um, only release games for their region, because I'm pretty much screwed if I can't import the games. The biggest surprise for me for the NGP is I read a list of all the developers that are on board to make games for the NGP, and to my absolute delight, Neon Falcom is on that list. So, you know, my initial thought was the East 8 could be a possibility, and that would be a game I'd buy an NGP for, you know, 100%. And I pray that it's not region locked so I can import the Japanese copy, and if Xseed, you know, we will be there, they'll release the English version, hopefully. So that's just my little short bit on the NGP. I probably will do a bigger analysis when I find more information on it. I'm not really big on talking about game tech. I'm just love talking about RPGs. And really, when it comes down to myself buying a gaming device, it's all about the games. I mean, it's nice if they play DVDs, if it's nice they can play music, and etc., etc., but they have to play games. And more than that, they have to have exclusive games that makes me want to buy the system outright. Because, in the past, I've bought gaming devices for just one game. Like, example, I bought my Nintendo DS just for Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow because I just desperately wanted to play it. I bought my second PSP for Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. I bought my PS2 for Metal Gear Solid 2. I bought my PS3 just for Metal Gear Solid 4. And anything I played afterwards that wasn't announced yet was an absolute bonus. So that's how I buy my systems. But just before I end this, I just want to talk about a few announcements that's just happened out of the blue. Um, I just want to talk about two of them. The big one is Square Enix released a couple of release dates for their games. Like the third birthday is coming out the end of March, which is pretty cool. And in 19th of April, Final Fantasy 4, the collection for the PSP, is coming out in English. That's quite astounding considering the Japanese version is just going to be released in March. That's a month apart, and that is super quick when you really think about it. The reason I think they can do this is because Square Enix Europe and North America owns three separate scripts for Final Fantasy IV, and they own one script for the after years, so I think they can pump that one out quite quickly. But they do have to translate the extra scenario in between both games, but I'm very excited for that. And it comes out the week after my trip, so I'll be able to buy it. And lastly, the biggest announcement that I kind of knew that was coming but wasn't too sure of is Namco released a teaser for Tales fans, and just a couple of days ago they confirmed that it was Tales of Grace's F that's going to be released in English. So that's pretty cool. I've seen some footage of Grace's F and it looks pretty fun. And I've had Tales on the brain ever since the start of 2011. Courtesy of myself listening to hours of Motai Sakuraba music, and I got into listening to some Tales music, and I'm just like, why don't I have any of the games on me right now is quite mind-boggling. So, like I said, I've been searching for Vesperia, but just no luck. So I'm gonna pretty much pounce on Grace's F when it lands in North America, because I'll be able to play it. So guys, that is my rant in the truest sense of the word. Next up is going to be a video that you've all been waiting for, and I've been waiting to do it for a while now. It's going to be episode 2 of my dissection of the RPG, so I hope you can join me then. Thank you for watching.